advocacy programs, like kind of like this program, like having a student perspective in major decisions, or like if they're trying to investigate reasons why or how to help with chronic absenteeism, get a student perspective, because I feel like it's not, they don't take into account what's really happening. They name an issue and they just don't get student input. And I feel like that's what the great thing about this program is, and it identifies issues, but also gets the students' input why these issues are occurring, especially in issues like chronic absenteeism, because we are the ones chronically absent. So I feel like if we as students were to talk to the district themselves about our issues, what's happening, and what can be fixed in an agentic way, I feel like so much more would get done.
Welcome, everybody. How are you all doing? My name is Victor. I am the program director for Energy Converters, and you are tuned in to the Agentic Show. I have with me a very, very, very special guest, none other than Haley. She is a junior at Manteca High School. She's born and raised in Oakland, California. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. You know, life is good. Life is good. So, you are one of the all-star students that I've heard about who have been doing really, really well. And I heard you did a really, really good blog piece. So I decided to take a look at it, read it myself. And we wanted to make sure that we got you on the show to talk about it because it's a really powerful piece. And I think it would be good just to expound a little bit and share a little bit of what you wrote, because you did a really, really good job. How did you feel about doing the blog piece? How's that process been for you?
It's honestly like, it kind of comes naturally for me, especially with this topic, chronic absenteeism, because one, I was a chronic absentee, and two, like I'm very passionate about improving the lives of students in Oakland, because I was one that was struggling with that stuff.
Yep. So it's always, and that's really the thing, right? When you are want to experience something, when you're able to draw from experience, or you have a passion in what you're writing about, it seems to come like very natural because you're not forcing it. It doesn't seem forced, right? Okay, so we're going to get started. I got a question just right off the bat. So you start off in the title, and straight off the bat in the title, you start off by saying, "We aren't skipping, we're struggling." That's how you start off your piece as your title. Yep. Why did you choose those words to start off your piece? And what did you want people to feel in the beginning?
I chose those words because there's a lot of like judgment from adults, like when they see absences, like, oh, like they must be skipping, because it is an issue. Skipping, it is a very big issue in school. Like when I was a freshman at Oakland High, like everybody skipped at least one period a day, one or two. Like, so that's what sparked the idea for me. Like a lot of people think it is skipping, but there's a majority that are not skipping. There's a whole plethora of issues that causes absences, like transportation issues, mental health issues, etc. And personally, I think that makes up the majority of the issue. I think skipping is just like a minor, like just a minuscule cause of chronic absenteeism. And I wanted that title to, like, I just wanted that to be the, what's it called? Like what people see first, like, oh, like to spark their attention so that they actually listen to what I have to say.
You wanted that to kind of be your hook, to hook people in and get them interested in what you had to write.
Yeah.
Nice. That was very intentional. It got me for sure. It definitely got me. So you also mentioned that most students want to be at school. What do you think people misunderstood about why students are missing school? And you kind of started to hint at that as well. But what do you think are some of the things that people misunderstand when it comes to students missing school?
I think a lot of people just blame it on a lack of motivation, and just students in Oakland in general, like the stereotype that everybody just, like, nobody's gonna make it out of Oakland, like everybody just doesn't care about school. Like which is true to a point. Like there are other issues that people are dealing with that they can't spend their time going to school. But yeah, I think people misunderstand the fact that there are other issues causing absences and not just like not just the fact that people just don't want to go to school.
Hmm. And so it are all in the piece, right? You start to kind of list out some of the things that are obstacles for folks, right? So mental illness or mental health, transportation, family responsibilities. Which of these do you think schools ignore the most? And what you think they should be doing instead?
Um, that's a good question. I would say mental health because although there are mental health resources at school, um,
Hmm.
me personally, when I was struggling, um, I was kind of told like, oh well, we can't really do anything for you. Like for example, in my English class, I told my teacher like, oh, I've been dealing with a lot of stuff. Like I just can't keep up with the work. Like, and she's like, um, all you have to do is come to school. And I was like, I don't think you're hearing me. And so what I was able to do, and I don't think a lot of people know what they're able to do. I got a 504 plan, which is it just tells my teachers what's going on. It's like a more official thing, but yeah, I think that's one of the things that me personally, I feel like schools ignore the most. But if you're looking at it from an outside perspective, it might be family obligations. I know a lot of people who have to stay home and watch their siblings, or um, well, yeah, just stay home and watch their siblings because their parents are at work, or they can't make it to school because something happened with their family, or just stuff like that. But yeah.
Hmm. So can you explain a little bit more for students who may be listening to you? What's the process that goes into like the 504 plan? I think that's what you call it, right? 504 plan?
Um, yeah, I don't really know what exactly happened. I just know at Oakland High, I had a life coach. His name is Francois.
Hmm.
And I was going through a lot. I was hospitalized, and after that, that really when I told him that, he pushed for it. So I don't know if it's just something extreme has to happen, or if you just have to ask for it. That's
Hmm.
all I know about. But I know with the 504 plan, I was able to get extensions on my work per my request. I was able to take breaks outside. I was permitted more time in the wellness center. Um, and yeah, I think that's about it.
Hmm. Okay. Thanks for that. Yeah, I want to look more into that as well. I think that can be a really good resource for some students to have something they can use or a resource they can have to,
Yeah.
combat some of the challenges they're facing in class.
Yeah. Mhm.
So you also made a strong link between students' attendance and school funding. So that was another thing you talked about was funding. Why do you think that part of the conversation gets overlooked in regards to
Wait,
the
can you repeat
funding?
that? Can
Yep.
you repeat that? You cut.
So, oh, sorry. So you also talk about school funding, right?
Yeah.
And how that's linked to student attendance as well.
Mhm.
Why do you think why do you think that that part gets kind of lost or overlooked in the conversation in regards to chronic absenteeism?
It's not really a known fact. Like, I didn't know that attendance rates is what, or ADA is what funds schools until I joined
Mm,
this program. So I feel like a lot of students, or just people in general, they don't take that into account. Like, this is where the schools get their funding. So yeah, that's what I think.
so a lot of people just don't know that, and you just now
Yeah.
learned that,
Mhm.
and so just to stretch you a little bit. So what do you think? How do you connect those two? How do you connect funding with that? How do you connect funding to it? How do you connect absenteeism and funding together? How would you connect those
Um,
two?
Absenteeism significantly decreases funding to the district.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that
Okay,
uh,
so
um,
then what happened? What happens from that though? What happens
from
from?
that, then, yeah. So what starts to happen is staff will start to get laid off. Programs will start to end. Like for example, mental health resources; those won't be available in the capacity that they are now if we start having budget cuts or like other essential programs.
Got you. Yeah. So that's all connected, right? Students that
Yeah.
so students are having these issues in school, which is making it difficult for them to come to school. And if they don't come to school, the resources get taken away from that school, which makes it even more harder for them to be in school and to do well. So it's all interconnected.
Yeah.
You also wrote in here, you said, give us space, the mic, and a seat at the table. What would that actually look like to you or the school at your school or in the school district?
Just like advocacy programs, like kind of like this program, like having a student perspective in major decisions, or like if they're trying to investigate reasons why or how to help with chronic absenteeism, get a student perspective, because I feel like it's not, they don't take into account what's really happening. They name an issue and they name a what am I forgetting the word? Whatever. They name an issue and they just don't get student input from it. And I feel like
Hmm.
that's what the great thing about this program is, and it identifies issues but also gets the students input on why these issues are occurring, especially in issues like chronic absenteeism, because we are the ones chronically absent. So I feel like
Hmm.
if we as students were to talk to the district themselves about our issues, what's happening, and what can be fixed in an agentic way, I feel like so much more would get done, and so much more would like all these issues like chronic absenteeism would be significantly reduced.
Hmm. So as you mentioned that idea of being agentic, you start to talk about your agentic solutions and some of the solutions you think a school district can take in combating absenteeism. So one of the things that you list as, or you give as a solution is a monthly stipend. So some people might say that's a handout, right? Some people might say that's a handout giving people a stipend. How would you respond to that?
Um, I believe I elaborated on that a little bit, but it's okay. So what I meant by that is rewarding good attendance, like not just for people who go to school every day. They don't have an issue with chronic absenteeism. I'm talking about students who are chronically absent, suggesting this idea to them, and if they show improvement, then reward them. Don't just give them money to convince them to go to school. Show them the program, show them what they can reap from it, and if they show improvement, then they can get rewarded. But yeah, that's how the program at Oakland High was through eBasy. If I showed improvement in my mental health, grades, attendance, I would get a stipend. If I didn't show improvement, I would not get a stipend.
Mhm. So what would you say to those who say to the students who are showing up, who are doing well, and they don't get access to the stipend, or do they?
Well, in the issue of chronic absenteeism, I would think the first thing to do is try to get the most chronically absent to come to school. But then people who just do come to school and don't reap the benefits, I think that they should be properly rewarded. But I haven't gone that far yet, because
Mhm.
since chronic absenteeism is such an issue, I want to attack the root of the cause first and get the people who
Mhm.
are most chronically absent afloat at least. But
Mhm.
yeah, I don't have an answer on that right now.
Okay. So if a school district was adopting any one of your ideals, which one do you think should be the first to happen?
Um, I would say first, I mean, money, it doesn't always have to be like monetary rewards, the first thing I would do is identify the most at risk, like the most chronically absent, and decide on a rewarding system for them. Like it doesn't always have to be money. It could be like, for example, if they're struggling in a class, you can offer them or just get with the teachers and offer them extra credit for every day that they show up. Like like that's the first thing that I would suggest doing.
Okay. So if there was an adult that was reading your blog, how would you want them to feel or think after reading it?
I would want them to think about how much chronic absenteeism affects everyone, parents, students, teachers, etc. And I like look at what I listed as issues, like mental health is one of the big ones, family obligations is one of the big ones, um, financial issues is one of the big ones. So yeah.
So after they looked at it, what would you want them to do or like feel or like kind of understand?
um understand. I would want them to understand that chronic absenteeism isn't just a simple issue where you can just decide you can just go to school. And I'd want them to, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I want them to feel.
No problem. That's something you should probably think about in regards to that because um, when you are writing something, right, think about sometimes it's good to think about the end user who's the one
Yeah.
receiving or the reader
Yeah.
and how you want them to feel or the things you're trying to get them to feel. And it could dictate how you write. I'm not saying you didn't write well. I'm just saying that might be something to think about at some points in
Yeah.
time when you're doing writing.
Yeah.
Okay, so lastly, with that, we talked about what we want the parents to know.
Mhm.
Now let's talk about what would you want students to get from reading your blog?
I first things first, I'd want them to understand that chronic absenteeism does have an effect on everybody. That, like I just said, with people in general, chronic absenteeism does have an effect on everybody, and that to advocate for yourself and your needs, especially if you have mental health issues. Um,
Mm-hmm.
don't just let people tell you that you're a bad student because you skipped school, or don't let your teachers give up on you because you don't do the work because you're absent. Like, yeah, that's one of the biggest things. Like, just don't give up.
And what's one thing that they can do? Like, what's one practical thing they could do?
Um, well, it depends on if like the students that are chronically absent, the first thing I'd recommend is identify your issue. Why aren't you coming to school? And look at 504 plans as an option. It won't solve chronic absenteeism, but it would at least help. Like, if you have mental health issues, you can get special accommodations, and that may help them want to come to school more often. And transportation issues, there's, I believe, I don't know if this is just Oakland High, but I'm pretty sure it's OUSD in general, but there are they give out free Clipper cards that you can, like, they have money on them. You don't need to pay for it. It's
Mm-hmm.
100% free for buses, and I think 50% off for BART. So, yeah.
Nice. Great. Thank you for that. So, what is something you want to leave our audience with? Actually, make sure that you plug yourself as well. Tell them where they can find you at on social media because they just might be impacted by something that you wrote, might be touched, and they might want to tell you that. So, let them know where they can find you at.
Okay, my Instagram is at cemetery, spelled CEMETAREEE. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's my only social media.
Okay, so that's your Instagram. Okay, y'all follow on there. And lastly, what's your parting words you would like to leave on this show?
I don't know. I'm thinking of my title for my blog right now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's the main thing I want people to understand. We're not skipping, we're struggling.
You heard that, ladies and gentlemen. We're not skipping, we're struggling. So we got to make sure that we're helping folks, our students, our young folks who are struggling with absenteeism and not be so quick to judge. Thank you so much, Haley, for tuning in and being a part of the show. Really thank you for that. I'm excited for all the growth that you got through the program and where you're going next. I'm really excited to see what you do next. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you to everybody that tuned in to the Agentic Show. I'm Victor. This is Haley, and thank you.